The Fall. Ba dalgar ha ta kaminar on con brontonor on ton thon trovahun on scontu denethanuk.
Finnegans Wake is the last and most ambitious and most puzzling work of writer James Joyce, who of course wrote Dubliners and Ulysses. And if Ulysses is the algebra of literature, then Finnegans Wake is the partial differential equation. Most of us break down that algebra. Few of us aspire to go on to the partial linear differential equation. In some ways, I think it can arguably said that this is the quintessential work of art, or at least work of literature, of the 20th century. And Joyce intended it that way. Joseph Campbell called it a staggering allegory of the fall and redemption of mankind. Equally respected critics have called it a surrender to the crossword puzzle portion of the human mind. The main thing about it is that it is linguistically dense. It is dense on every level. It has over 63,000 individual words in it. That's more words than most fictional manuscripts have, words, period. It has over 5,000 characters in it. Ulysses, Joyce thought of it as his day book. It follows the peregrinations of an ordinary Dubliner, this is Ulysses, through the vicissitudes of his day. Fairly straightforward exposition of the techniques of literature that have been perfected in the 20th century, stream of consciousness, slice of life. Finnegans Wake was designed to be the night book to that day book. So it was conceived of as a dream, and one of the questions is, whose dream is it? What is this book about? I mean, when you first pick it up, it's absolutely daunting. There doesn't seem to be a way into it. It seems to be barely in English. And the notion, that one could, by spending time with this, tease out characters, plot, literary tension, resolution, this sort of thing, seems fairly unlikely. The first 25 pages are incredibly dense, and most people are eliminated somewhere in those first 25 pages.
River Run past Eve and Adams from swerve of shore to bend of bay brings us by a commodious vicus of recirculation back to Howth Castle and environs. Sir Tristram, Violor de Morris, for over the short sea, had Passencourt re-arrived from North Armorica on this side the scraggy isthmus of Europe Minor to wield fight his Peninsulet war. Nor had Top Sawyer's rocks by the stream Orkney exaggerated themselves to Lawrence County's gorgeous, while they went doubling their mumper all the time. Nor a voice from afar bellows Mishy Mishy to Toff Toff throughout Petrick. Not yet, though Venice soon after had a kid-scad butt-ended a bland old Isaac. Not yet, though all's fair in Vanity, where saucy Cesther's wroth with torn Nathan Joe. Wrought a peck of Pow's malt had Jim or Shin brewed by arc-light, and Rory into the Ragenbrow was to be seen ringsome on the aquafice. The Fall. Ba dalgar ha ta kaminar on con brontonor on ton thon trovahun on scontu denethanuk. Of a once Wall Street old par is retailed early in bed and later on life, down through all Christian minstrelsy. The great fall of the off-wall entailed at such short notice the pshoot of Finnegan, is solid man, that the Humpty Hill head of himself promptly sends an unquarring one well to the west in quest of his tumty-tum toes, and the upturned pike point in place is at the knockout in the park where oranges have been laid to rust upon the green since Devlin's first loved Livy. What clashes here of wheels gin wonts, ostrigods gagging fishy gods!
It's a language, and you have to gain a facility with it. and you have to cheat. That's the other thing. And there's lots of help cheating because it has spawned a great exegetical literature, all kinds of pale scholars eager to give you the Celtic word lists of Finnegans Wake, or a discussion of the doctrine of the transubstantiation in Finnegans Wake. It's two things, clearly. Finnegans Wake is psychedelic, and it is apocalyptic / eschatological. What I mean by psychedelic is there is no stable point of view. There is no character per se. You never know who is speaking. You have to read into each speech to discover, is this King Mark, Anna Livia Pluribel, Humphrey Chimp de Near Wicker, Shem the penman, Sean? Who is it? And identities are not fixed. Psychedelics dissolve boundaries. Finnegans Wake is as if you had taken the entirety of the last 1,000 years of human history and dissolved all the boundaries. All the personages of pop culture, politics, art, church history, Irish legend, Irish internecine politics are all swirling, changing, merging. Time is not linear. You will find yourself at a recent political rally, then return to the court of this or that Abyssinian emperor or pharaoh. It's like a trip. The great technique of the 20th century is collage or pastiche. It was originally developed by the Dadaists in Zurich in 1919. Right now it's having a huge resurgence in the form of sampling in pop music. And Joyce was the supreme sampler. I mean, he draws his material from technical catalogs, menus, legal briefs, treaty language, mythologies, dreams, doctor-patient conversations. Everything is grist for this enormous distillery. And yet, what comes out of this, once you learn the codes and once you learn to play the game, is a Joycean story. What Joyce was about was an incredible sympathy with common people and an awareness of the dilemma of, being a Jew in Irish Ireland, being a devotee of scholasticism in the 20th century, of dislocation and disorientation. It's quite an amazing accomplishment. There's nothing else like it. It had this megalomaniac richness of language, this attitude that it's better to put it in than take it out. And that's certainly what you get with Joyce. Joyce once in a famous interview said that if the whole universe were to be destroyed and only Finnegans Wake survived, that the goal had been that then the entire universe could be reconstructed out of this. Some of you who are students of Torah, this is a very Talmudic idea, that somehow a book is the primary reality. All of the future is already contained. The letters are scrambled, and only the movement of the present moment through the text correctly unscrambles and arranges the letter. A central theme in Joyce, and a central theme in the Western religious tradition, which is the coming into being, the manifestation of the Word, the declension of the Word into matter. What Joyce was trying to do was, he was in that great tradition of literary alchemy. The alchemists turned toward literary allegory in the 16th and early 17th century. Joyce is essentially in that tradition. I mean, this is an effort to condense all space-time in a nutshell. And the way it's done is through pun and tricks of language and double and triple and quadruple entendre. No word is opaque. Every word is transparent, and you see through it to older meanings, stranger associations. And as your mind tries to follow these associative trees of connection, you eventually get the feeling, which is the unique feeling that the wake gives you. You are simultaneously many points of view, simultaneously many dramatis loci, many places in the plot, and the whole thing is riddled with resonance. You know, a man doing a task on one level is on another level a Greek god completing a task, and on another level some other figure of some more obscure mythology. So really, one thing about Finnegans Wake, it's like a dipstick for your own intelligence. What you bring to it is going to determine what you get out. And it's so rich that it's easy to make original discoveries. It's easy to see and understand things which probably have not been seen or understood since James Joyce put it there, because he had this kind of all-inclusive intelligence. It's about the union of spirit and matter. The Christian scenario of redemption at the end of profane history is another scenario of transubstantial union, union of spirit and matter. This seems to be, in fact, the overarching theme of Finnegans Wake and of the 20th century.